There's barely anything worse than to play a fantastic game and then not have enough time to finish it, get into time trouble, and make an unnecessary blunder and possibly draw or even lose out of a winning position. And it has happened to all of us way too many times. So in this video I would like to give you some tips how to avoid getting into time trouble in the first place. So let's begin with some very obvious things, but still some players do not acknowledge them. So the first one is get to the board on time. Very obvious, right? If you don't get on time to the board, then you will have less time for the game. So it happened to me that sometimes I felt like I should maybe prepare a little bit more, spend a little bit more time looking up this one variation, but in the end, it is always the case. It's more important for you to have more time on your clock than to have a better opening preparation, because you don't know if your opening preparation will actually happen on the board, and then you just have less time. Also, similarly, sometimes, it happens rarely, but I see some players that get to the board and they think about their first move. They're white and they think about their first move. Obviously, you can do that before the game. There's no reason to spend time on your first move. Also as black, you should have an idea what you're going to play against every opening move that you expect from your opponent. Alright, let's get to the second point. Let me see what I wrote down. Second point is play obvious and natural moves rather quickly. Sometimes moves just suggest themselves, such as occupying an open file with a rook, or develop the last minor piece that hasn't been developed yet. Connect your rooks, just play the natural moves rather quickly. Also in some positions there are several similarly good moves, and these moves there's not a big difference between them, so just play one of them and don't spend too much time figuring out which one is the very best one, because in the end it might not matter as much, right? Also similarly, play forced moves immediately or very quickly, right? So if you only have one move to play, such as if your king is in check and you only have one move to play, or if your opponent has just taken a piece of yours and pretty much the only reasonable move is to take back the piece, then do it immediately. There's no point to first calculate and figure out what's going to happen next, because there's nothing else you can do anyway. So just play it and then you can calculate in your opponent's time. And that actually brings me to my next tip. Use the time of your opponent. I know a lot of us, well, it's our opponent's move, we maybe walk around, we rest, we fantasize in our head how nice it would be to win the game. But actually the best thing you obviously can do is use the time for your advantage and think about what your opponent might play and then what you can play in return. And if then your opponent plays this move, you already have looked at it and you can save time because you already have an idea possibly what you will do next, right? So this can be, I think, this can make a huge difference. If you take one thing away from this video, is that if you are prone to get into time trouble, then please use the time of your opponent, sit down and work. Chess is work. You gotta work the whole game. Of course, sometimes you can rest and maybe take a little walk, but if you really want to improve and play better chess and have better results, you gotta work, and you also gotta work when it's your opponent's move. Alright. So then another thing you can do is to record your time. So after every move you can write down how much time you spent on the last move. So you just always write down your current time, and this can help you to figure out where you spent the most time during your games. So after your game is over, you go over the game, you analyze it, and you can see, oh, I spent a lot of time on this move. And for example, if it turns out that you spend a lot of time in the opening, then you know where you gotta work on. So then you can improve your opening repertoire so you don't get into trouble early in the openings and you don't spend as much time in the openings, because this time you will need later on in the middle game when it gets really important. Or also possibly could be you spend a lot of time in tactical positions. This is very natural because there's a lot to be calculated, but you could find that you spend just too much time there, so you need to improve your calculation skills. I did this for a while and really helped me, and also it makes you pay attention to your time usage. So when you write it down after every move, you constantly are reminded that you want to make sure that you don't get into time trouble. Alright, and one more tip I do have is watch your thoughts during your moves, or rather when it's your turn, okay? Are you completely focused and concentrate on the game the whole time? Especially when we think for a longer time, it happens that our thoughts drift off, we think about something else, we maybe look to the side, are distracted by the board next to us, and of course in this way we lose time. So what you can do is just to make sure you stay focused on your game and not get distracted easy, and just pay attention to it. And I think already doing that might help to stay with your game and make sure you only focus on your game. Of course you can look to the other boards and whatever when it's not your move, but when it's your move, your time is ticking. And if you get in time trouble often, then this is also something you can do to help you avoid time trouble. Alright, I really hope these tips can help you. Time trouble is very important, obviously, because so many points can be lost in this episode of the game, and so many points can be won if you have enough time, the opponent doesn't have enough time. So I thought this is a really important topic to talk about, so I want to share my thoughts with you and give you some tips, and I hope you can apply them and avoid getting into time trouble in the future. So obviously this is a new series, I call it Chess Tips and Tricks, and if you have any suggestions what you would like me to talk about in this series, then please let me know in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.